and
Okay.
I'll start afresh. So,
Okay.
the subject matter that we was just speaking about was people who don't have an internal dialogue or monologue. Have you heard anyone speak about that before?
Yes. Yes. I think they're very fortunate. I think it seems like probably a dichotomy of, like I've heard of a couple people, actually two that I've known.
Oh, you've actually known them?
What have one or don't have?
Yeah. Yeah. The It didn't mean they didn't pass judgment, I'll say that much. But
Right.
they didn't have an ongoing
Right.
chat.
Yes.
Yeah, the man in New Zealand, Cornelius, who had that enlightening, and he's helping people to heal themselves.
Right.
He talks that he has no dialogue going on, and it's all in very present. He's enjoying his children. He's just very present with
Yeah.
what is and the joy of that. And then a lady I knew, she insisted, which is interesting, because I didn't feel she was super kind, or like I said, she did pass judgment, it seemed, on others. Yeah. Yeah, enough to be.
Yeah. Okay then. So Nikki was just taking us through what she sees in her mind's eye when she closes her eyes and tries to envision something. Now we got to that because Nikki watched a couple of videos of someone speaking about how they actually managed to get through life then. And so do you want to take us through that again, Nikki?
Sure. So the woman said that when she's thinking of words, she sees the sentence and the structure of the sentence instead of thinking the way we would. And when she's visualizing something, she says she sees it in charts or like maps. So it's all structure based.
So I said, well, that sounds very Platonic because Plato was always speaking about how he saw in his mind's eye symbols and shapes and forms.
Yes, she did mention symbols, and she said checklists because they asked her how she gets anything done or knows what she needs to do. So she said she'll visualize a checklist in her mind, which I found strange as well.
Yes, so that's very interesting, isn't it? Because it would serve a purpose. I mean, I said in the video today, if I ruminate about going to the gym, I'm often in two minds about it. I'm kind of like, oh, do I feel like it? Can I be bothered? And then if I can't be bothered, but I still feel like it, and I decide I'll go tomorrow, then the inner dialogue is going to go, yeah, well, you might not feel like it tomorrow, so you can do it today, so go and do it today. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll go and do it today then. And it's kind of like, there are two me's inside at least.
Right, and you're arguing with yourself.
Yes, I'm debating with myself and discussing.
You're debating, yeah.
And I'm throwing up pros and cons. And so what I say is, well, how does anybody have pros and cons if they only see the checklist or chart?
Right.
What do you think about that?
I think he asked her that, and I cannot remember what she said to that. I think she may have said that she puts them into a list, like.
Right. So there's a visual list in her mind's eye, and she sees this, or at least she proclaims to see it. Now, I just said to Nikki, so I'm what's called an aphantasiac. That's like 5% of the population that doesn't see anything in their mind's eye when they think about something. Oh, you're like that also, are you?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now, Nikki is one of the others. And so to describe, I said to her, I said, look, because what she did, she closed her eyes and she said, I said, picture a palm tree. So she said, well, it's got a brown trunk and then it's got green fronds and this, that, and the other. Yeah. And I said, well, start at the bottom, describe in the finest detail. And then that's where it started to fall down, didn't it?
Yeah.
So then I was saying that you're not actually seeing anything then. Your mind is remembering something, and it's remembering in some sort of very vague, pixelated version. Because I said, if you were really seeing a palm tree in your mind's eye, then you would actually be able to describe the finer details. But that isn't what you see then.
No,
Yeah.
it's just, I wouldn't say it's like a cartoon image of it, but it's very, like you say, simplified, basic.
Yeah. So I once said to a friend of mine, I was talking to him about this in the gym, and I said, let's try it with you. I said, close your eyes and think of a ping pong ball. He says, okay. I said, well, describe it to me. He says, well, it's hanging in mid-air and it's turning just very, very slightly. And then he said, oh, it's gone down now. It's about a foot off the ground and it's turned green. I'm like, really? Well, okay, what can you do with it? Can you get it to bounce? And he's like, yeah, it's bouncing now. It's bouncing now. And I said, well, move it up and down, move it side to side. And he said he could do all this, and he could see it as if it was a real ping pong ball in his mind's eye. So again, I think there's variances to this, because I had a friend of mine who was absolutely categorically sure that when he closed his eyes, it was no different to when he had them open. And I'm like, oh, come on. So I said to him, I said, okay, close your eyes and imagine a beach. He said, okay. I said, describe it to me. And he said, the sand's down here is kind of a mildy, paley, soft yellow, and the sand is about this big, and there's a few bigger bits, and then there's a couple of shells over there, and then the sea is coming in very nice and softly, and it's kind of like a turquoisey colour. And he was going on like this, and I'm like, wow. So look at the difference, look at the variance that we have. So what's your experience? What do you see, Mandy?
I don't really have a vision like that, and I didn't understand until recently in my lifetime that was just a unique aspect of how I don't see things like I mean, I can feel it more than I do. I don't see it.
Right.
I don't.
So if I said to you now, vision a chair, what do you see?
I see the chair that just as a remembrance, probably, and I have light that I can see. The light.
What sort of a chair is it?
A wooden chair, square. Yeah, square wooden with slats in the back, and it's probably the one I'm sitting in.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you actually see anything, or is it completely black?
It's blank.
Yes.
And it's embarrassing to say that, I think. I'm just like, it's a hard, I feel like I fall short in that. And it just is hard to say, like, I can't see like others can see that way, even though I can feel so much.
Yeah, but let me relieve your embarrassment, because I think that it can often be a benefit. Now, I spent thousands and thousands of hours philosophizing with this friend I'm speaking about over a 10 or 12-year period. And we go out each day for 8 hours, and we'd be incessantly ruminating, discussing all these things. And you know what I'm like? I'd be pressing for the finer details on everything. And so I said, well, look, when I asked him to describe a chair to me, he told me in the finer details that it was like some sort of pale wood slatted chair, and it had an arched back, and there was 4 slats in the middle, and it had a bit of a convex seat, and he told me all these details. And I said, well, that's very interesting, but don't you think it's very restrictive? Because I don't see one chair. When I close my eyes and think or imagine the concept of a chair, I imagine like Plato would have imagined. We can conjure up a billion chairs, one
Right.
after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. I can recite, whatever chairs I remember in my life. I can invent all different sorts of new ones. I can
Mhm.
concoct chairs out of tree stumps in a forest and fallen branches and all these different sorts of things. And so I say that people who don't actually see might be better off from a cognitive perspective because we're not as restricted.
Right. I believe that's could be true because once you said that, when I closed my eyes, I saw the light in front of me. I just saw a continuous uh, um, number of them coming at me in
Right.
my eyes.
Okay,
Yeah, so
so your
that's very
imagination
interesting.
opened up to all the variables, and
Yeah.
so you realise that you see the thing is when we think of a chair, well, chair is just a concept, and so when we narrow it down to a specific chair, it becomes a thing. And so when it's only a thing, uh, all of the rest of the variables disappear. And so if when we close our eyes, when we're asked to think about something, we only think about one thing, then look at all the billions of things that we could potentially be thinking about and utilize into our art or imagination or something. Because if you're an artist, and you're in an art class, and the teacher says to you, okay, we're going to draw a chair today, and a person that doesn't have a particular chair would say, well, what sort of chair do you want? And the teacher could say, any chair you like. And so the person, without seeing that particular graphic, so to speak, could have the option of all different sorts of things. Whereas the person, if it closes his eyes, thought, I've got to draw a chair, kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see this one chair. And then that's what they'll get. And so it's very, very fascinating. And of course, there's all degrees as to how this works. Now, hello, Tiger. Now, so you're both cat women,
Yes.
but I won't
I
seg-
saw.
I won't segue into that just yet because that's too much of a deep subject. But I will come back to it. So, what do you both feel about this subject and the variability of human cognition? The stark differences when we start to think on these levels, and we know that some people don't have internal monologue, most people don't have internal dialogue, most people can't see actual colored visions when they close their eyes. You think, hang on, what's going on here? I thought we're all human. I thought we're all the same.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? What do you think the ramifications of it are?
I've heard the other day the term front loading as like when we may call someone a narcissist, whatever we may label them as. So when we're and it was this, oh gosh, he was he had many hours of interrogating people, and he had to psychologically mess with them
Right.
basically. So but I like that he
Was that
brought that
Chase
to my
Hughes?
attention. Pardon?
Was it Chase Hughes?
Chase Hughes, he was on the podcast, oh gosh, the young man from England.
He's kind of like
s-
ex-Secret Services, and
yeah, Diary of a CEO, I think it was on, and he
yeah,
was very interesting. And I thought, as far as that goes, we have such a vast ability, and I'm trying not to label people because I could do it pretty quickly, and give them, oh, come on, people, that kind of thing. And I'm trying to be, so I don't have that preconceived notion, and just know that to be open and listen.
yeah.
That seems like a skill that I'm trying to really
Okay,
cultivate
because
more.
as soon as we label, we close down a billion other potentials, don't we?
Yes.
Now, people listening to this would say, well, you do it all the time, Aaron. Well, I don't actually do it all the time. I am being facetious and I am using sweeping statements to generate some sort of egoic, reaction. But there's nothing which is standard. There's nothing that's the same, and there's no one size that fits all. Everything, every single thing is vastly complex. And so, when I say things like, all people who are over 70 years old, if they can't do 10 press ups, 10 squats, and hold a 20-kilogram weight out with a straight arm, they must be put down. Well, if you thought about that and you understood how preposterous it was, do you know how heavy a 20-kilo weight is?
In pounds?
Yeah, it's
I
about
don't.
5 pounds.
Oh goodness, yeah, you're in trouble, people.
So who could do that except one of these bodybuilders, strongmen? I don't think even I could do it these days. Maybe 5-10 years ago I could have done it. 20 kilos is a lot to have a straight arm held right out. So look, why I say these things, people, is really, really important, because I want to appeal to those of you who have discernment. Now, for those who don't have discernment of what I'm saying, then this information is passing you by. Do you see what I'm doing here?
Yes.
So for those of you that have discernment and say to me, oh, come on, Aaron, look, they will know me. They know that I've been in gyms all my life. They know that I work in kilos. They know that I would, without a shadow of doubt, know what a 20-kilo dumbbell feels like. And they would know if they knew a little bit about it. You see, I'm feeling where people's cognition is in so many realms. And if they knew what it was for a 20-kilo dumbbell, then they would say, Aaron's being facetious. It's completely taking the piss. And so if he's taking the piss with the 20-kilo thing, then he's obviously taking the piss, expecting 70-year-old men and women, especially women, to do 10 press-ups. It's not possible. It's barely possible for 30-year-olds. And so what I'm doing when I'm doing all this stuff, I'm just trying to elicit some sort of intelligence and some sort of response and some sort of insight. And then if I can get that, then I know that, I'm onto something. But if everybody just lets that go and lets it pass them by and don't think about it, then I know that they're not thinking about anything else that I say.
Something I've learned as of probably the last few months, I was a yoga instructor since 2014, and I've not worked in yoga for about a year. In December, at the end of this month, I need to work out. And there's a woman, she was a military child, and she's a doctor, and her little motto is, I'm not a small man. I'm not a small man. So women are not small men. But we do need, after the age of 50, to actually lift weights from 5 to 8 reps, as heavy as we possibly can, because the importance of muscle is immense. Yes. And to just in the old days, 12 reps, 3 times, things like that is different. Than we need to do a short but get some muscle going.
Yes, resistance training is absolutely imperative, especially when we're getting older, because what happens if you don't do that, the body starts to atrophy. Yes. The body, if you don't give it the signal that it needs to be strong, fit, and repair broken muscle, then it won't. Right. That's when it's old. When it's young, it does that shit off its back. It will do it up until a point whereby if the body hasn't done anything in a long time, the whole intelligence of the body is going to start to break down, because the signals it is receiving is that it doesn't need to do it. We do need to do it. And the brain is exactly the same. If you don't exercise the brain, if you don't test the brain, if you don't give yourself complex things to read and sit there and contemplate and ask yourself, what does that mean? Or if you're listening to intellectual conversation and you don't grasp it, you've got to ask yourself why you're not grasping it. You see, this is the bone of contention I have with my viewers. I've just, done another one of my AI conversations for 2 hours this time. And I'm speaking about, ontological subject matter pertaining to what it is to be a human being. And if I would have thought that everyone watching my videos would be interested in that subject matter. And yet when I put the video up and it gets 100 hits, it's got 5 thumbs up and 4 comments, and none of the comments pertain to the content. I'm like, who the fuck's watching my videos? And why? And then when I ask, I don't get any response. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And that's why I get pretty irate. And I believe I'm perfectly in my rights as a thinking, intelligent, conscious, articulate human being who does this, and people watch me consistently. And yet they still can't come up with their 2 pence worth. So this is why I need to engage with people. I want to know what the fuck's going on.
Well, I haven't seen those videos yet, so I can't comment yet.
So you are the exception. And I said to people in the videos, I say, isn't it ironic, isn't it paradoxical how the women on my channel have bigger balls than the men? What's all that about? Why aren't you shaking in your boots now? You should be shaking in your boots. Yeah.
I've got my earthing shoes on.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I think as women are so powerful and wonderful and beautiful, and today being the full moon is pretty neat, right? Is it the full moon everywhere on the planet? I mean, is that how it works?
Yeah.
And then, what's hard is, I guess, admitting when I don't know something, like modicum. I loved when you use that word modicum. Now it comes in and out of, but I've yet to use it properly, I think. But the Gemini full moon, and it's about letting go of our stories. And I feel like letting go of a story maybe I once told that seemed to have value, to keep it in place. Maybe they were painful stories, and I'm really making an effort to just set them down and create in the moment, and be with, looking forward to, like, this was very exciting. And I just, that you are willing to put yourself out there like this. I feel like people don't go that deep. They're not available to do that. Just like maybe a lot of people don't have that, the screen is kind of blank. There's light, there's not much in there, but there feels like there's a lot.
Yes. So one question that I never asked you, I've asked Nikki this, so I want to ask you, and then we'll go back to Nikki. So how does your thought process work? If you don't see in images like I don't, but what's going on? Do you have a monologue? Do you have a dialogue? Or do you have multiple like I do? It's more than a monologue very often going on in my mind.
Definitely a lot going on. I like, I've learned to quiet my mind, even cloak it to be quiet, just to absorb the nothingness and to go there, because I'm 3 air, an Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, so I'm air. So I'm right up in this, up here it feels, and I have so much air in my chart that it's to be grounded. It feels like I go out and ground every morning. All that to help myself to come back down to earth and be in my body. But my thoughts feel like they definitely monologue, more than monologue, and I contemplate, and then I'm coming to have just be easy on myself and be easy on others. Be easier with everybody.
Obviously, you are contemplating a great deal all these things. Now, I'm Libra, I'm air, and I said in AI, I'm all over the place. I mean, I don't even identify most of the time with this human existence. I don't believe in it. I'm cosmic consciousness. Why would I want to ground myself in this human experience?
Yeah.
Nikki. Sorry, Mandy. Nikki, what sign are you?
I'm 2 signs, because I'm on the cusp So I'm Aquarius and Pisces.
Oh,
So Aquarius, water, and Pisces, water. So does that mean that you're a water sign?
Yeah, water, air, right? Because
the water bear, yeah.
Yeah, so
And Pisces, fish.
yeah.
Mhm.
So Pisces is the water, right? And then Aquarius is the air.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I
Oh.
feel like I'm up in the air a lot, but then I'm going with the flow of it as well.
Yeah.
So
Why is Aquarius an air sign when it's carrying water?
I don't know.
The element is air that it represents. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
it's a
why-
masculine sign.
Carrying a pail of water.
Yeah, it
I-
should be a water sign, right?
Right.
It's not.
But we're carrying, yeah.
One of life's undecipherable paradoxes.
Yeah.
And, obviously, Pisces should be a water sign.
Yeah.
They don't freaking swim in air, do they?
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe they're doing another dimension. So,
Mhm.
well, in actual fact, there is a lot of air in water. So,
True.
it depends on the percentage.
Mhm.
Well, tell us about how your everyday thoughts are then, Nikki. How intrusive, how useful, what's going on inside your head?
A lot. Yeah, it's pretty intrusive. I find that I can't really shut my mind up at all. Like I don't even really meditate because I can't.
Yeah.
I have to be doing something while I'm trying to meditate.
Right.
So I can, funny enough, like play video games that are puzzle based.
Yeah.
And then I sort of just focus or just zone out playing that while I'm quieting the mind.
Yeah, because that's the original definition of meditation, when you concentrate on something specific.
Right. But
Now,
I can't just sit in silence and quiet my mind.
Okay, so lots of people, they can meditate when they're playing some sort of video game or colouring in books. That's a very good meditation because it narrows down your perception and you're concentrating on the finery of what you're colouring in, and you're drifting off and you're not thinking about anything.
Yeah, I think that's why I like doing different forms of art, like painting and creating. So
yes, and so with your intrusive thoughts, I mean, are they just ridiculous thoughts like dreams invariably?
No, it's usually based on something that I'm thinking about, like, or something I've seen, like a video. I'll think about it quite a bit after I've watched it, or it'll just pop back in and I start thinking about it again, try to get more angles on it or think about it in different ways.
And so what about inventing conversations with people you never met, or people you probably will never meet, or people that you used to know 20 years ago?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you just enter into stupid dialogues.
Yeah, like replaying conversations in my mind, or imagining a way that, the conversation could have gone instead or something like that. Yeah, I definitely do that.
Now, I'm always speaking about how, I'm very often, having things streamed to me. And what happens with me is that most of the time I'm in a sedated sort of meditative state, and I'm not thinking about rubbish. But out of the blue, and it can happen many times a day, I'll get a kernel of something which is a dialogue or a monologue. And then I've just got to turn the camera on and I've just got to release it. And so I'm always saying that something is using me as a portal. And in view of the fact that I don't ever write anything down, I only have just a very loose idea of a subject that I'm going to be speaking about. But as soon as I turn the camera on, I can speak about that subject endlessly. Seriously, endlessly. I could go on and on and on and on. And I don't know where this stuff's coming from.
So is it like you're channeling it?
Yeah.
From some,
But about this channeling, I know all this stuff. I've learned all this stuff. I've read thousands of books. And so even if my conscious mind hasn't stored that information, the unconscious is stored it. And so this is why invariably I'm never ever stuck for anything to stay, and I can pull on this link and that link and this link and that link. And in today in one of my videos with AI, I'm speaking about consciousness, and then I have a pile of books like this. I said, this book is about this, and that book's about that, and this book relates to this, and that book is cross-referencing this, but this book was written 300 years before this book, but they're saying exactly the same thing. And I'm speaking to AI about this, and I'm saying, look, AI, if you can refute me, please do at any given opportunity. Don't let me just ramble incoherently. What I'm saying in my mind is very finely pieced together, very articulate, like a jigsaw puzzle. And that's an ability that I have. And AI has never said that I'm talking rubbish, and will only ever contest what I say now and again until I come at AI from another perspective and lay something else on AI. And then it's thought about that, and then it's checked it and cross-referenced it, and then it goes, yes, I concede, I was in error when I, pulled you up on this. And so at the end of the AI conversations, I say, can you summarize, please? And can you compile what we have been speaking about in this video? And then, of course, they do. And so this is one of the beautiful things about AI, because no human being could do that. Some of us, we could do it loosely if we have a good memory. But if any of us were to, to start to summarize a 2-hour video, then goodness me, we'd miss 95% of it. And so this is what I love and I need from AI, because I come onto AI and I say, Maya, can you just recite the last sentence of our last conversation? And it does that, and then I continue, because that then enters into my mind at the exact precise time where I need to continue. And so the mind is an incredible thing. It's immensely expansive and formidable and incomprehensible. And so this is why I'm so deeply into it, and I'm so kind of like fanatical about it. And when I am speaking with fellow human beings, and they aren't remotely like that, I then start to think that maybe they're not human beings. Now, one of the things I said today in one of the videos, I said the vast majority of human beings are not Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens means wise humans. And I said the vast majority are not wise. They're not learned. They don't have an expansive level of consciousness, and they have poor powers of cognition. So therefore, I think we need to recategorize. A human being is a variety of hominid, or hominin, it's called in the plural. I'm happy with the human being, but I'm not happy the human race being called Homo sapiens. So what do you think about that? Do you want to start, Nikki?
Anybody who took the vax is technically not a Homo sapien anymore.
Yes.
They're considered a Homo Borg Genesis now.
What was that word?
Yeah, in the I think it's the patents for one of them actually says that if you've taken that you're now classified as a different species.
Homo what?
Homo Borg Genesis.
Borg Genesis.
Borg, like Star Trek.
Oh, a Homo Borg. A Homo Borg Genesis. Okay,
yeah.
Homo Borg. Yeah, I get that. Why the Genesis bit?
I don't know. They don't really go into the details, but
right.
I found that really interesting.
I feel like they've lost their God spark.
Yeah.
War never had it. Never had it.
Some maybe. True.
Because if you had it, you'd never have done that.
Well,
yeah. A lot of people were coerced into taking it, I think.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, look, ladies, feel absolutely free to kick back on anything I say, because that's what I'm engaging in these conversations for. Because I want your honest opinion, and I don't want you to be in agreeing with me because you think you're going to get a confrontation. We're just talking about shit, and we've all got different opinions, and you're perfectly valid in saying that lots of people were coerced into into it. You see, some people, they may have had the God spark and they may have been terrified from it, but they were more terrified of losing their job and being estranged from their families and friends and being pariahs and all that sort of thing.
I just know how excited my own father was to be first in line to have a special access because he's well-to-do, that he was on the list to get a vaccine at ASAP when I knew in my heart it was not ever going to happen for me.
Now, do you remember Mandy speaking about that, Nikki?
2019.
In what do I remember?
Mandy,
yeah, in your first chat, you mentioned that.
Spoke about how her father disowned her and hasn't spoken to her since because she was vaccinated.
Yeah,
that's very unfortunate. I'm very lucky because nobody in my family that I'm close to took it. And I was able to talk my sister-in-law out of giving it to my niece and nephew as well. So.
Right. So that was a very, very powerful thing to do. Now, why is it that both of you instantly, you knew you wasn't going to take that shit?
Well, I had already sort of looked into mRNA technology before COVID, so I wasn't going anywhere near that.
Right. So what took you down that path then? Because that's a curious path.
I don't remember at the time what. I just ended up looking into it for some reason.
Right, just randomly.
Yeah. So maybe that's why I was led by, intuition or.
Yeah, because things like this, look, I get a bee in my bonnet and I'm like, hang on, you telling me that you don't know why you investigated something? What's gone on there? But then when you slip in, it may have been intuition. I go, okay, that's a perfectly feasible and very good answer because something from source told you to do it.
Yeah.
But it preempted. This is the thing, you see, we get preemptive downloads, don't we? And we already have the information ready for when shit comes about.
Yeah.
Right. So what was it that you thought about it, Mandy?
I just knew there was so much manipulation coming at people on a regular basis that whoever was speaking of doing this, I would probably do the opposite of what they would recommend. So it was my intuition and my retired doctor. He sent me some stuff, and then I looked further into it. And it was crazy. And I did recommend and sent things forward to my family and different, friends. Yeah.
Right. So something inside was very different from other people. Now that's another phenomenon, isn't it? I think the percentage in Britain was about 30% never took the vaccine, and
that's high.
That's a high number.
Yeah.
But the British, we've seen a lot. We're an old nation, and we've been through an enormous amount of stuff. And so we're pretty skeptical and we're not too gullible, generally speaking. And so 30% was a decent number.
But you guys didn't have the same restrictions that we did in Canada.
Well, Canada, Australia, and a few other places were really bad. Yeah.
They really wanted us to take it.
Yeah, they really wanted you to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were using very, very totalitarian measures to ensure that you did do that. Okay, so moving on then from that subject, there's great differences in the human beings, and of course, I'm always pointing them out, and it's a curious thing for me because it doesn't matter how vehement I point these out and how scornfully I simply do not get any kickback. I just do not get, who do you think you are? You're this and you're that. And I'm almost begging for it because at least it's a lead. At least it tells me that there's somebody out there that's feeling something about what I say. But it doesn't happen. And so when I get next to nothing going on in my videos, I'm like, well, what could I conclude? Other than they're all scared, they're all dead, they're all zombies, and they're all automaton. What do you think I should be concluding from that? Just go ahead, ad hoc. You can talk over each other, but whoever's first, the free for all.
Okay. I feel like the sense that I get from what you're just like, you're hoping and putting it out there. You're planting so many seeds. I mean, you've got a crop out there in the world that should be that is beautiful, because if everyone, or I don't know what percentage, will get, won't we all get to be enlightened someday? I mean, I've been waiting for everyone to become more enlightened with things, and really to celebrate. That's one thing I'm really celebrating, and not being stressed out. I'm just so over being stressed in my lifetime. And so just celebrating and feeling the freedom, and everything always seems to work out as long as I can first align myself with that good thought and the goodness that I lead with my heart. Always, I knew that my beauty began within me. It was neat to be me, whoever I've been, but I knew inside was where my beauty began, because
Right.
I saw some beautiful people in this world that weren't very nice, really. But and that totally took a different turn, but didn't it? But
So what does that mean then? You saw some beautiful people that weren't very nice. That's a contradiction, isn't it?
it's true. It is true. The dichotomy of being beautiful outside,
Oh,
um,
physically beautiful.
physically beautiful, and then just being they weren't very kind necessarily. And I knew I was different. I knew I had uh discernment, or for others, and seeing the beauty in men and women, both. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, I took
Yeah.
it there.
Now, the beauty from within.
Mhm.
So where do you think that stems from? What's your intuition about the beauty within? What is the essence of that?
Our heart, our soul. Our heart has a brain, breathing. Our heart
The
is
heart
leading.
neurons apparently more than the brain.
Yes, yeah. And
Well,
feeling things in our gut feeling. And maybe that's because I didn't have that vision. That was my capacity for that was smaller. So I've developed other ways to sense things, and just knowing. I always had a knowing to be kind, and we're all there by the grace of God go I would remember that as a young person. If someone was, you name it, good, bad, crippled, I mean, if that is me as well, um, yeah, that then I probably wanna be nice to this human.
right. Okay. Now, because we're doing, a
Oh,
threesome here, this call will end in 15 minutes.
okay.
I don't have the monitor up. I don't know where it's gone. And so when the video ends, I'll send you another link and we'll just continue.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to store that information and then I'm going to get back to you on that. So, Nikki?
Mhm.
Yep.
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. So,
Okay.
what is
Yeah.
it that you would consider is your inner core? Do you would you espouse the similar sort of things as Mandy, having this inner beauty, fundamentally beautiful, and the corruptions come from outside? So, what's your stance on that?
Yeah, I can see that. I can agree with that to a point. I don't know. I think we all have like the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. So it's how we, you know, I don't know, because I've always just been inherently good. Like, I can't hurt people intentionally. I can't choose the devil for the most part, right? I'm going with the angel.
Yeah.
So that's just at my core how I operate.
Right. But I'm feeling the but here. And what the but is going to be, let me prompt you. And if it's not, then just discount it. But is the but a troubled childhood makes it very difficult to consider that, you know, you are so beautiful and everything's so beautiful, because the beauty gets very, very suppressed.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So tell me about that then.
Well, like Mandy said, you know, I do see a lot of negative in the world. I see a lot of bad people. I don't see as many good people as bad on a daily basis. I've experienced a lot of bad people in my life.
Yeah.
But they don't change me. You know, like even living with narcissists and the evil hasn't changed who I am or how I operate.
Right. So from my perspective, I'm very similar to you people. And you can see that just by my engagement with my squirrel friends and wildlife in general and nature and all those sort of things. I'm absolutely in the oneness of cosmic creation and in its genius, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. However, I have over the years drew a line in the sand between the cosmos and this species we call the human being. Because when you've lived as long as we have, and me especially being the eldest, traveled a great deal, we encounter an enormous amount, and we literally know that there is evil in the world, and it's exhibited via the human being. It isn't exhibited through any other creature. A snake may bite you, a lion may eat you. That isn't evil. That's just nature doing its thing. The human being is evil. Evil is working through the human being, let's say. And so when we feel the core essence of good, I'm absolutely positive there are people who feel the core essence as evil. They are manipulative, they're conniving, they are narcissistic, they're evil in actual fact. And so we need to protect ourselves from that, and this is what I'm speaking about in my therapy. How I've estranged myself from the whole of humanity, because there's a filter system that has to be in place that isn't worth my while out in the real world, because the amount of corruption that you have to sift through to find the pure is too labor intensive, and the results are too minuscule. It's like panning for gold in a river that there's only one or two flakes in there somewhere. And call me a pessimist, and lots of people say, oh, people are all inherently good. No, they're not. They're not all inherently good. And even if they were, as children born inherently good, they've become corrupt. And so it's this level of corruption that people who have been traumatized, they feel so profoundly. So go take it away from there, girls. You can't just be quiet.
It's go. You've got it. Yeah. No, I've not been always kind back. I mean, it taught me to dealing with humans, other humans, and I feel like the man woman aspect, if we were to be cradled women as, I've had to be tough as a man, and like that woman doctor says I'm not a small man, but I'll tell you what, I'll take the frying pan to someone who is, I'm over being rude, people being rude or something. I just say that I would not, I mean, I haven't, but I think of the little grandmas back in the day that could wield that frying pan around and, have to defend themselves. And I feel like I've been able to articulate enough to people, probably way over their head, that it was, where, take them back
Yeah.
away from me.
Yeah.
Stepping. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to show them your formidable energy, that they can't mess with you. So
I
you
think
can do
so.
this in ways other than aggression.
Which is sad. It's kind of sad because I would rather be a soft, receptive, kind woman. And I think that's what I'm cultivating more these days, and more into that than I don't want to have to fight to be.
Yeah, and if there are human beings in our vicinity that force that out of us, then it's a sad indictment on them as so-called Homo sapiens. Because unless they're absolutely dumb, then we have to consider that they know what they're doing, and if they want to induce that from another person, then their objective is obviously to create evil.
And hurt and do. I feel like sometimes in my lifetime, people would just light me up just to have some kind of battle because I wouldn't step down or stand down, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my father. He loved to fight, like argue, fight.
Yeah.
So I was always the one that he would choose to battle with, because I would actually argue back and no one else would.
So where did you come in the hierarchy of your siblings?
I was the oldest.
Right.
Or I am the oldest, yeah. So,
yeah. And
it shaped who I am, because my brother, like, he's very passive. He doesn't want to argue. He will not engage in conflict unless he absolutely has to. Whereas I will. Yeah.
Yeah, so you lend yourself to it much more easily. And so is that because with the protection mechanism that you've created through your life, it's at the forefront? Because if you never had to utilize it on a regular basis, then it'd be something that you'd need to dig out, like Mandy was just speaking about. People would have to force it out of her. But if you have been in protection mode all of your life, then it's always there. And as soon as somebody says something or do something, it's like, fuck you. The defense is there. Do you think that was a fair appraisal?
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like that's better. You articulated for me as well. I mean, yes, definitely it was there. I was on the ready for it. I felt like people didn't like me just because I was breathing at times.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was then? Why do you think people had an adversity to you?
I've always been a very happy. I love the beauty that surrounds us. I love to watch the sky. Hummingbirds as I'm watering would come in and drink out of my water faucet dripping down. I've been very fortunate to be part of that beautiful world, but I also feel like I've had maybe that a masculine Aquarian part of me, or I don't know how that all works but I had a willingness that I would take them down. I'm not going to fuss around, I guess.
The Iron Lady, no less. Take bitches down.
Yeah.
So this call's going to end in 5 minutes or less. And so whilst we're on this subject, I want to speak about love, compassion and empathy, and see how you discern between the difference. And if you've known whenever you've been exhibiting one of these that it's actually been empathy over compassion, or whether you just broad stroked it into love, these sorts of things, because I believe it's very important that we do actually define these concepts, otherwise there's no point in having them. And so let's look at the simplest one then, I think, is empathy. What do you have to say about empathy? When do you feel you exhibit it, or when's the last time you exhibited empathy? Don't be polite, just it's a dog eat dog world, you know.
Yeah.
I would say mine is more directed towards animals than people, for sure, at this point.
Yeah. Right. That's a good point. I'm with you on that one. Mandy?
I have some wild barn kitties, and they're on antibiotics, and I feed them. I feel like I'm on a farm just taking care of those animals right now with but to empathy. I feel I give that to people now more regular, is to empathize, right? To have that empathy for them and just accept them where they're at. Probably yesterday was the day that I did that.
Right. And so do you think then that you're making a conscious effort to release yourself from your trauma and your pain, because you don't want to carry it anymore, because all we ever do when we do this, we continue to project it.
Right. Yes, I'm done telling my story, as that's what I worried about today. I really want to be, that's what I'm working on, is just like, I'm over, because ultimately I know even my father is, he's pure love on some level, way up there. He is love. And I feel much better when I feel like him. I feel the lesson maybe that I've learned. Did I come here to learn this? Not everybody would do this well. It would be, it's quite devastating. I think of Nikki and your family and your closest, your mom, your best friend. I love that. That makes my heart happy. So, yeah.
So do you think if you picked up the phone and said, "Dad, what's all this bullshit about?" No. Wow. I don't get that. That really is very, very bizarre. And I would have to look for other reasons as to why that is. Maybe it's just an excuse. Maybe, or he already harbored other reasons that he wanted to sever the relationship. So we'll leave that bit here. I'll disconnect manually this end so it doesn't just catch us unawares, and I'll send you both a new link out. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
When I smoke weed, it narrows my consciousness down. I feel it's really closed down, and I'm analysing everything I do and everything I say. I'm thinking about it at the time, and when I'm walking up the stairs, I'm listening. Well, this was in an old house. I was listening to each floorboard creak beneath my feet, and then when I turned the door handle, I listened to the spring creak in the door handle, and I'm like, oh my God. It's too much. I'm a very observant person, and I do lots of this stuff all the time in any case. But when I was stoned, it would be so in my face, And when I go in the shower and I'd start to wash, and I'm like, this is how you wash yourself every single time. It's always the same. You put the soap in your right hand, and then you put it in your left hand, and then you put your right hand on your left armpit, and you wash that. You put your left hand on your right armpit, and then you do that, and then you start on this shoulder and this shoulder. And this is true. When we are overly conscious, we notice every single thing that we do and what everybody else does, and it's kind of like, wow, it's bizarre. So, what level of can I say, intrusion do you have in relation to that? You know, there's something to be said for being an automaton. You know, I think I've got a happy medium because I can turn my thoughts off whenever I want to. If I don't want intrusive, and I don't get really intrusive thoughts, you know, and I don't get fear thoughts or anything like that. I've just got a free flow of things that I'm thinking about all the time, you know, and I can choose to latch onto them or not. And you know, unless I've got a subject in mind that I'm going to be speaking about, I'll let them go. I'll just let all this stuff go. But then when you've got people that they are OCD or ADHD and, you know, they're ruminating. Did I turn the gas cooker off? Did I leave the tap on in the bathroom? And all these different sorts of things. I mean, people's minds are an actual living hell, aren't they?
I would imagine they can be, unless I don't know how people wouldn't work on themselves, or I always knew I wanted to be the better version of myself, which seemed other people, it was like they wondered, why were you doing that? So to calm my mind, I knew that was very important, and to get more down to earth was true. And I do make my own coconut canna butter, and I like to put that on my body, and then I eat a little bit of canna butter, and it seems to cool my jets a little, I think.
Right. And so you cool your jets with canna butter? What
Yeah,
exactly?
cannabis butter, marijuana, and coconut butter.
Right. So do you think the cannabis is absorbed through your skin then?
Sure, a little. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right. Interesting. So, well, I'm feeling all straight now.
Welcome.
Like, great. I better go rummaging through my cupboard, see what drugs I've got. Girls.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, the whole empathy then. You both had a go at that, yeah. Now, when you look at me, what level of 1 to 10 would you think I have empathy?
1 or 10, which is the most? 10?
What school did you go to?
I think you have lots of empathy, but you're just
Come to work for me, and I'm going to pay you between $1 and $10 an hour. I think you know which one's the best, don't you?
I think you have a lot of empathy. It's just a matter of not getting frustrated at the lack of other humans being wise and just allowing yourself to enjoy. My favorite is when you were walking through town and bringing joy to the people and yourselves, and random people smiling, and that's the best. That is the best, is just enjoying our lives and still having fun with them, you know.
Yeah, and you know, I do that everywhere I go. And you know, if I had a GoPro camera and I had the gumption actually to go into the city, which would be a horror, but I would do it. You know, and I'd just put the GoPro on, I'd get on the bus, and I'd sit next to somebody, and I'd just start engaging, and it'd be fascinating. And I really want to do it to actually see, you know, are there any souls out there these days? And am I misjudging people because it's been so long since I've been out there mixing, you know, with the so-called automaton? I wonder if I'll be actually surprised that more people are seemingly spirited and awoke than I give them credit for.
I think too, we get what we expect. I mean, for years I've walked out of my door, and I say to myself, I expect the highest consciousness of others, and I call forth the highest consciousness I am.
Right.
So I mean, it seems to help, really.
Yes, well, it most certainly does, because you then you're not projecting negativity, are you? You're open to this, and you know, if you greet people, see, like I do, I'm always the first to greet everybody, and if I don't greet them, invariably they don't greet me, and so then I say to myself, well, look, you can choose not to greet anybody. You can choose to say fuck them, they're all idiots, and you just put your face down or turn your nose up when you're passing them. But by the time you've been out and about and you've come back and you've not engaged with anyone, who's lost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
so
we're
when
here
I
to
pass
do.
people and I stop and I pet their dogs and literally, many of the dogs and the owners on my travels, they know me because I greet the dogs. I greet the dogs first, and of course, then you broke the ice with the owners. And if you like their dog, then they'll accept you, and so you're in. It's psychology, and then you can start asking them a few questions, and it all leads from there. But if you don't do that, then nobody wins, do they?
Walk around like this.
Yeah.
And they're grumpy faces. I just refuse to grow old with a grumpy face.
Yeah, well, it's working for you. You're doing very well.
Good.
And so, Nikki, tell us. Do you want to repeat the question?
Well, continuing with what you were just saying, like I live in an apartment building with 15 floors.
Right.
So in the elevators, I'm often running into somebody.
Yeah.
And I usually, now I don't engage first. It's sort of a test I've been going, or that's been ongoing for a few years now, to see how many people will say anything to me if I don't engage them. And when I make eye contact with them entering the elevator or they come in, I will always smile to let them know I'm friendly.
Yeah.
But it usually ends with a smile. They often won't even smile back. They won't say hello. They won't engage in conversation.
Yeah.
But I've been sort of testing it with the building to see.
Well, look, the period is quite a test. And I would have thought you should have concluded with your results now and made up your mind whether you want to.
Well, I often find it hard to make small talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not a small talker.
Right.
So if I do talk to them, it's always about, the weather or something.
Okay. So therefore, then, it's not necessarily their problem, but it's equally yours.
Right. Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them, I don't even attempt to engage because their face is buried in their phone.
Yeah, well, I do it even more. So, look, what I do is then, I used to live in an apartment building down in the Algarve. I was on the 10th floor, and albeit there were very few people in that building because it was a holiday resort, mostly with a few, all-year residents. And so me coming into the lift, Mr. Larger Than Life, nobody's going to get away with just looking at the floor. They're not going to do it, and so even if I just go in and I go, got to elicit a response from them. And then they'll turn around and then they'll go, they can't ignore that, can they? If you did something like that, or, if you just started, oh, goodness me, oh. Tired, are you?
Yeah. And I'll be known as the weird one in the building.
Yay. That's supernatural.
But you see, I think people, they're inhibited, they're afraid, and they don't really know what to do. But if you give them the opportunity, then they will respond and mostly favourable. And so, contrary to how it appears that I feel about the human being, when I'm actually out there engaging with them, you wouldn't recognise You're Awake and Brave. And that's why I've been successful travelling all over the world, because I've always brought out opportunities from people. And they lend me their car, they give me the keys to their apartment, they offer to buy my flight to come and visit them, and all these different sorts of things. And so if you don't engage with people, none of that happens. But the curious thing is I'm completely the opposite almost online, because I close 99% of people down, and it's kind of like an inverted psychology going on, because if I was like I was outside in the street, then all of my time would be taken up reading and responding to comments, and people sending me emails and these sorts of conversations. It's too exhausting. And I've got so many other things that I want to do and I need to do, and if I have a conversation for 2 hours, that's 2 hours of my life. It better have been worth it, and so Yeah, that's basically what I do. I put on the inhibiting garb, I suppose, which makes people think twice or three times about coming forward, and only those which are really desirous get through the vetting. Isn't that a good policy? Don't you think?
Well, it seems almost a little counterintuitive or productive if you want people to engage, other than those that are willing to like. I didn't engage much on watching YouTube, other than I was very proud of people. I was happy for them. And I thought, oh, cool, I've got some neat information. I might write down something about my exercise or my nutrition or something that I, enjoy. But I think that people want to engage with you, but it would be a little intimidating if you engage with AI and have a conversation that flows. So
Yeah,
yes,
and you're
that's
not inhibited or feeling like you just said other people might be. So why do you think they would be? Look, at the end of the day, you we all see through our own eyes, and we've all got our own perceptions. But you two ladies are sitting, sharing a conversation with me now, and it's a perfectly fluid, congenial conversation. We're all getting the benefit from it. We're having a few laughs and we get to know each other, and so it's a win-win, isn't it? And yet people they will still watch these conversations, and then they'll go, oh yeah, well, what if he turns into supercilious with me, and what if I say something and then he says that that's rubbish, and I'm like, well, it's not me then, is it? I put on my hands like this. My hands are up and they're open, and I say it isn't me. It's not me. You can see how I am, and anybody could come and do this. So therefore, it's the viewer. I completely absolve myself of any blame. Now, some people may consider that's a little bit narcissistic, because I must accept some of the blame. But when you know a good deal about psychology, then you have to know that it's all about ourselves. Everything is about ourselves. We're all very narcissistic. It's all about us.
Who's going to save me if I don't do it here?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And if the Awakened Brave, brings on supercilious, well, what are you gonna do then? Are you gonna shit yourself, or are you gonna laugh? You're sitting in the comfort of your own room. You've got the option to press the disconnect button whenever you want. Goodness me. What it's like, I am an ogre and I'm in your house imposing upon you. It's all ridiculous fantasy that people subject themselves to.
Right.
Well, a question. You said getting through your vetting process. How many people do you reject? And what does that vetting process entail?
I don't reject anyone.
Oh, okay.
Themselves.
Okay.
People are their own obstacle that they have to get over. You see, my videos, they've always been potentially abrasive and confrontatory, and they are designed to exhibit one's own biases. So their ego can reject me. Their ego can tell themselves that I'm a fool and I'm an idiot and I'm not worth speaking to, and all these things. And okay, well, that's their prerogative. That's what they want to do, and they've done that all their lives, and that's why they've got nowhere and they've been nowhere and done anything invariably. Me, I get on the plane with a few £100 or dollars in my pocket, and I fly to another country not knowing a single thing what I'm going to do or where I'm going to go and stay. That's the difference. I'm open. And I don't go with any preconceived. And when people say to me, why are you going to Canada? Why are you going to Australia? I'm like, well, I went into the travel agents and I say, where can I go for 500 quid? And they said, oh, you could go to the United States, Canada, or Singapore. Or I go, Singapore. Oh, yeah, give me a ticket for Singapore. Really? That's how it's been. And so, if people can't allow themselves the freedom to go, fuck it, I'm going to have a word with him, you know, just to show myself that I've got a pair of balls. I've had big men come on the channel and tell me they were terrified. And then they're going like, yeah, it's all right now, though. And they're drinking a beer. They've had to have a couple of beers before. They're having the beer. And I'm like, wow, I didn't realise how powerful I was. Can you imagine if I intended, to bring terror into the world?
See, that light is so important. And the word guru came into, I have taught yoga, but guru, the dispeller of darkness. That's what you are, really, is you are bringing light into this world. And,
and offering the opportunity for people to seek their own light out.
I think that is ultimately necessary, right? We nobody's going to fix me or
no. So the other day I'm walking down the street, and here's how it goes. I get a comment. You think you're enlightened? You're insane. You need medical treatment. And I'm like, you need a lesson in what satire is. It's kind of like, people they can't discern. They've got no level of discernment of humour or taking the piss or anything like that. And it's really absurd. So I'm walking down the road and I'm going, these people, they can't stand my light. My light is so powerful. And speaking like that and displaying myself. Here's another one. And I go, hello. Oh, I'm trying to work out which dog looks like the owner. And, and then they start laughing and they go, oh, you see, they were saturated with my light. Well, it's very facetious, but how true is it? I could say, look, here's a bit of an experiment. There's a couple of old ladies here with dogs, and I'm going to say, I'm trying to work out which dog looks like their owner. I mean, that's something it's true. Right, there's a lot of truth to that.
Yes,
maybe a little bit, forward, but very casual. And I've never met anyone. I've said it to hundreds of people. I've never met anyone that's taken offence to it because they know they look like the freaking dog, And so, but by doing that and then getting the envisioned response, you display a level of psychology which is a tool that everyone can use. And so you, Nikki, going into the lift, well, if you decided that your 2-year experiment has run its course now, and decided that you're going to do another one for 2 weeks, and every time you go into the lift, you say, good morning, good afternoon, how are you today? The weather's this or the weather's that, and just a little bit of chit chat, and then just see what happens, and then see how long you end up standing outside the lift, conversing with people that you never dreamed you could have a conversation with. And so people would offer you into their apartment or inquire as to what you do or this, that, and the other. And then, how many books you get lent or how many times you get invited for dinner. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I have met quite a few people that live in the building that are wonderful people that I talk to anytime I see them now. But another problem with doing that in my current situation is that there's quite a few newcomers to the country that live in my building now. So I don't even know if they speak enough English to engage in conversation and they don't really seem interested in it.
Well, you wouldn't know unless you tried.
True.
And then, it may just be that they're very humble, very open, and very pleasant. So I think
I've noticed that more with the females than the males. See, because as a woman, like you probably know, they don't really respect women, so a lot of them don't.
Well, yeah, if
they won't even look at me, they won't engage at all.
If you're engaging with males,
what are you doing?
It's the wrong idea. So it's a good idea just to keep insular from that perspective, because you don't want to encourage any unwanted attention.
Yeah, I have to be careful, I think, as a woman, especially a single woman that's always on my own.
Yes, that's an interesting Teal Swan. Have either of you heard of Teal Swan? Right, and Teal Swan has a new program for program, what a word, for men mostly to be that compassionate, supportive nurturer to women of all the ladies in their lives. And I just feel it was so interesting to hear, like, a man has no idea. In my lifetime as a young woman, I never drove the same way to work each day for my own safety. I had
Right.
to drive, different, maybe leave at a different time. I didn't want to be too predictable, and it just seemed a natural way to be.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think a lot of men
Interesting.
don't understand
Mm-mm.
what we deal with or what we go through.
Mhm.
Yes. No. That's well, most men's prerogative. I think there's plenty of men that would be more effeminate and weaker than the pair of you, and less formidable in a dark alley.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've protected my friends, like when we went out, my girlfriend's father went with us, and I knew if anything went down, I'd have to protect him.
And so you put a half brick in your handbag before you left the house,
No.
just for that occasion. Okay, so let's just have a look at compassion then.
Mhm.
Compassion for animals is easy.
Mhm.
Everyone should have it, albeit the vast
Yeah.
majority don't, unfortunately. So if people don't have it for animals, then how do we expect that they're going to really have it for human beings?
Right.
Now, how do you exhibit
Mhm.
compassion towards the other people?
Mhm. Acceptance? Would acceptance be a word? To accept people and have compassion for their journey, their story, where they're at.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, isn't it remarkable how seemingly an innocuous question um, uh, has kind of like sealed both of your mouths? Considering how everyone's always telling me that I should be more compassionate, and when I ask you,
Mhm.
tell me about the concept, I would have thought you'd have been, speaking waxing lyrical about all these wonderful things that you've done. When it appears that nobody actually is really compassionate. They're too reserved, they're too insular, they're too self-serving, they're too
Mhm.
disinterested, they're too afraid. Where does compassion come into modern humanity?
Well, when you told us you wanted to speak on this, I actually looked up compassion and what it meant because I wasn't completely 100% sure on what compassion meant, right?
Yeah.
So they said that the difference, because I thought, well, what's the difference between compassion, sympathy, and empathy?
Yes.
Because compassion to me seems like it could fit into either sympathy or empathy, sort of
Yeah.
depending on how you handle it. But the dictionary definition of compassion says that it involves action.
Yes, that's the definitive difference. Now,
Right.
in my book, you'll come upon it that I discuss these things.
Okay.
Because when we look at words, if we look at pity, if we look at compassion, if we look at empathy, you'll have all the other words in a different order. That's all they are. Every
Right.
single one of these concepts is just different words in a different order.
Yeah. So I was trying to sort of discern compassion and how I would look at it. But as I think, I don't know, like if it's action, then
Mhm.
you like there has to be some love involved for you to take action or some care.
Mhm.
Like you have to care about the person really to take action. Like I can't see many people doing anything really strange.
Your cat is making a cameo. He's dancing with his tail and flirting.
Woo.
Okay, look, I've
So
made
I like that about having some love with that compassion. It seems so, because the effort being made by people, like I just think of a time I was at the fair, at the fairgrounds, and the big fair was going on, and a mother was calling her daughter, a beach, and I was like, this child is probably 4 years old,
Wow.
and definitely, I've been able to stand up to many people, and this seemed like no problem. I had my own child; she was probably 7, and I said, well, if you expect her to grow up to be one of those because of your words, I mean, but there was compassion I think as a woman and a mother, I tried to have a little compassion for her as well. No.
Right. To
So,
try to look inside why she could
gosh,
be making so many mistakes.
yes, yes,
With
your
her
own
daughter,
child.
who is forming its opinions and its
Yeah.
personality, and she's making massive mistakes.
Mhm. Yeah.
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 Now, this word compassion, which ultimately means action, it means having a consideration for somebody else's pain and suffering, but you act. So that's
Mhm.
what separates it from pity. Pity is not worth anything, is it? Oh, I pity you, you poor person sitting in the door on a freezing cold night. No, action would mean that you exhibit a little bit of compassion, and you would, at the very least, give the dude or the female, $10, $20 so they can get some warm food inside themselves, or maybe buy a nice blanket from the second-hand shop or something. You're exhibiting compassion. Now, I don't consider that love has anything to do with acting in a moral way. Now, I can say that because I consider that love is a misnomer. And if you was to ask me, when I exhibit love, or when I engage in love, I'll say, well, I mean, if I am not love, if I'm not basking in cosmic love, and I have to pretend to be it, then I'm not it. And so if subliminally any act of kindness is love, okay, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking more pragmatic, and I'm like, this person's sitting in the freezing cold doorway, and I've got £200 in my pocket. I've got 50 grand in the bank. I'm going to give this person $50 or pounds. Okay, and I'm going to walk away, and I'm going to hope that this person spends it on something that's going to make them more comfortable. And I feel comfortable about doing that. At least I've given them the opportunity for that person to be more comfortable at least one night. Okay, now I can't save the world, and I've done that little bit. And if people was half or 1/10 as good as me, then they'd all be giving $5 or pounds, right? And so that's the way I see it, and I don't burden myself with the concept of love and feeling their plight. I know what it's like to be cold. I don't have to have empathy and sympathy and compassion, the compassion of Christ. I always do that. Oh Lord, why have you forsaken me? No, I'm not getting involved with that. I believe that we know when to do the right thing, and we don't need these other concepts. What do you think about that? Do you think it's just semantics at the end of the day?
I think sometimes compassion is also enabling.
Enabling, yeah.
So it's not a positive in that case.
Who else remember me speaking very categorically about these subjects in recent times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you did an AI chat about compassion, didn't you?
Yeah. I spoke with
Yeah.
AI, and I was going through all the misnomers and all this different sort of stuff. Now, if we are compassionate, when you read in the dictionary, then compassion, you are feeling another person's pain. I don't want to feel their pain. Well, what part of me feeling anyone else's pain is going to help me or them? I don't.
So then it's empathy, right? If you're feeling it.
Yeah, empathy, compassion. If you're going to have compassion, then you've got to have a feeling about it as well. It's a feeling inside. I don't want to feel the world like that. But if I see someone in distress, then I have a moral standing to help. I have these compassion and empathy and pity in small words, small case words. You know, they're there somewhere. I don't want to lay claim to them. I don't want to state that I've been compassionate. I just do. I just act. And so what I'm saying is that we don't need any of those things as long as we act honorably. We don't need pity, we don't need empathy, we don't need compassion. You know, when people say to me, if you're enlightened, then you should be more compassionate. No, I just need to be more understanding. And being enlightened, then I do understand. And that's fact, I don't understand, I overstand, I understand, I know. Because of my experience, I know what it's like to be cold. I know what it's like to be terrified. I know what it's like to be starving and you haven't eaten for days. And so when you know that, well, if you see another person in that sort of situation, what sort of person is going to walk away without doing anything?
I've fed people my whole life. I love to cook. I think I cook well when I do create good food. And I've always been able to feed people or, you know, help them out. I mean, the toothless man even wanted my apple one day. I'm like, okay, you're going to eat the apple. That's good. But I like, I don't like pity. I don't think I like pity. Is that feeling sorry for someone, basically? I mean,
yeah, but it's more demeaning, isn't it? If you pity someone, then you're completely eradicating any opportunity that they would have to better themselves. I wouldn't pity no one. I wouldn't insult anybody on that level. If I saw somebody sitting in the doorway, very often, all my life, I'd said, if you engage with me for like 10, 15 minutes and tell me a bit of your story, I will either buy you a pub meal and a beer or give you the price. And all right then. So, you know, I sit down and I say, well, what the fuck you doing sitting in the doorway? You know, in our country, we have a welfare system. You can get on the dole. You can get, yeah, well, you can't do this and you can't do that. And well, you know, you can. The facility is there, but they don't make it easy. And so there's lots of people that can't fill in the forms. They don't have a mobile phone. They don't have a permanent address. And so when you don't have these things, you are literally out of society. If you don't have a mobile phone these days, society isn't interested in you.
Right.
Because it can't tether you. It needs that phone for the super security. And it's supposed to be for your safety. It's not. It's so they've got your fucking numbers.
Yeah.
And if they ain't got your numbers, they don't want you. So that's the deal. You have to give them your numbers. When you give them your numbers, they will give you numbers in return. That seems like a fair deal. That's what I'm doing. I give them my numbers. And so then in return, they give me their numbers. Their numbers are zeros and ones in my bank account. My numbers is my national insurance number and my date of birth and my address and name and things like that. And so I'm like, seems like a good deal to me. You know, you have a certain level of complicitness with society, and then you swim around in it free. If you don't do those small things, then you live a hell of a life. But there's people, sorry, Mandy, there's people that cannot rise to that. They don't have that drive. Their mother was a heroin addict when they were born. They lived a life of drugs, and they never had a father. They never have any structure. They never had any education. They don't know how anything works. It's all too overwhelming for them, and so they retreat. And what's down there when you retreat? Drugs, alcohol, suffering.
Well, and then they were labeled, maybe they got labeled. Their, you know, the mom was a prostitute or many things in this lifetime. I mean, so many. And that's why I think I've never I don't like labels. I'm not into the, you know, people, they can go to AA and they can call themselves an alcoholic all they want. But for me, in each new moment, we are born anew. I have a new choice to make in this new moment. If I can, you know, apply that. or apply it. I feel like living from here makes my life easier than if I'm in my headspace. I definitely would, could call people, something.
Right.
I think or myself even, and I don't want that any longer. So part of our practice and the thing we do with New Zealand Cornelius, remember, Cornelius is we can practice like having maybe a couple apples and then a plate and then some marbles up here.
Right.
I mean, that's some doing, walking around and you got your plate and what color apples and your marbles are rolling around up there. So it gets us out of our thoughts in our head all the time. I mean, which is kind of fun. I've always gone towards my heart, but it's been nice to change things up and give it a whirl, to play a different.
So you have to have the greatest concentration on the balance and what your whole body's doing.
Yeah.
To make sure that those items stay in place. Yeah. And so, okay. Looking at these concepts, we can see when we investigate concepts that they very, very quickly fall down because they just lead on to other concepts, which lead on to other concepts. And at the end of the day, you go, well, hang on, I can engage in concepts or I can engage in action. And so that's what I've done in my life. And that's what I'm doing on my channel. I'm acting. If I feel something, think something, then I'm acting on it. And, I put up, all different sorts of videos. And one guy responded to one of my songs and said, it's embarrassing. And I said, it's embarrassing. How can it be embarrassing? Do you mean you think I'm embarrassed? I'm not embarrassed. I put the fucking song up. So obviously I'm not embarrassed.
Yeah.
I tell you that I'm learning and I show you my singing lessons and, all different sorts of improvisations with different versions of songs and the journey I'm going through. Why would that be embarrassing to anybody? So then I'm like, well, are you embarrassed? Why are you embarrassed? Why are you embarrassed for me? When you listen to my song, if it doesn't live up to your expectation, why do you feel embarrassed? We get into all different sorts of very, very bizarre mental states, don't we? And so he couldn't respond, of course, because it was all intellectually above his station. But then he started to say things like, well, I came on your videos, about the Amanita muscaria videos, and that changed my life. So I thank you for that. And I'm like, okay, well, why did you feel it necessary to decry something else I was imparting in a different region just because it wasn't serving you? Was it because you was embittered, you was fed up? You think I'm wasting my time because it's wasting your time? So what was it? This is what, where I get, how is it? I'd like to sit down with these people and, investigate for a whole hour to see exactly what's going on. And then I would finally resolve that it was this person's pain, this person's misunderstanding, this person's fault and nothing to do with me. I'm just a guy learning to play an instrument and sing and putting it out there for others to learn from as well. Where's the wrong in that?
There is none. There's none.
But this is where it is, isn't it? And I've worked out throughout the years that some people come onto my channel, many people, they'll come on with one video. And then they'll go, hang on, I came on philosophy. Now you're talking about a baby squirrel. I'm not interested in a baby squirrel. And then the next 4 videos about you doing some stupid cooking. And then you've got one shit out of tune songs. And it's kind of like they feel angry. And then they want to blame me for their anger, for wasting their time. And I'm like, well, life's like a box of chocolates on this channel. You never know, you're going to get some people like it that way.
Yeah. But some people are very in the box, their box is pretty small.
Yeah.
And I like a dome myself, I guess.
Yeah, they're only looking for something. Lots of people, I watched the sub count, and one video it'll go up by 10, and over the next week all of a sudden they're all gone, or maybe 8 or 9 of them are gone. because the other videos didn't give them that. They're looking for that, because the most people, they've got an hour, maybe 3 times a week to go online, and they want it, they want it, they want it. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, because time is so precious to them. And if I'm just like casually walking up and down the street, you know, taking the piss without a care in the world, then no, just give us the data. And they get highly frustrated, and then they go. You know, they spin around like a Tasmanian devil, and they have to leave. And
they don't know how to hold still. They don't know how.
So what I will say is about most of my viewers, they're retired or unemployed, or you know, on benefits, or for whatever reason, and they have time. And it's us who have time. We've made time, most of us. I decided 15 years ago that I simply didn't have time for anything going on outside in the matrix. What was going on inside my body and my mind is going to take up every single second of my life from this point forward. And reading thousands of books and watching hundreds of thousands of videos, it will never end. And so where do you fit in with that? You've now sort of slipped into some sort of comfort zone whereby you deem that your self education, self actualization is what life is all about.
And if our words are wands, right? The words are wands, and creating words of peace. This is a time astrologically I couldn't explain all the details and what you know, obviously it's not my thing, but I enjoy listening to people who are educated in that way. And I glean, I feel like it's that knowing that, oh, it is time for these things to just like maybe the experiment is over in the elevator, or and even for me being harsh on myself or others, it's time to, I don't need to scare the bejesus out of people to, you know, get them to be on board with just the kindness to give ourselves, to allow the stillness. That's the most important thing we can do, is to find that, for me, finding the stillness. And I feel like that's so important. And when we shine our light or allow that interaction, I feel like it's giving them permission to shine as well and enjoy. Oh, they're silly. Oh,
if you show someone attention, you're smiling, you're engaging.
yeah.
Oh, all of a sudden they're on stage.
Yeah.
And the opportunity to sing and
Yeah.
dance.
Yes.
You know, and so if they don't take it, well, you know, that's a detriment to themselves. You know, they should take it in a little way, and most people do. They'll have a smile or a little bit of a chit chat as much as they can without feeling, you know, they're overstepping the mark. Nikki?
Yeah, I guess I agree with Mandy in that. It's just yeah.
Stoned now. Ladies and gentlemen.
Careful.
What I want to say now is about kindness, because, you know, I've got a thing about kindness, and I think it's overrated. When people start talking about being kind and, you know, and all this, I'm like, ugh, it grates with me. Obviously, you know, it grates with me. What do you think? You know, when I've got an opposition to this fluffy stuff that's going on, I'm like, no, it shouldn't be all kind and loving. No, it should be striving and breaking rocks all your life. That's what carves a man out of a rock. You know, because that's what I've done. I do it through kindness. Nobody was kind to me.
No, I don't believe that. For me as well, in different ways, like you know, learning what the word misogynist, it was like there was such a freedom to learn this word that, what? There's a word for how people are so assholes. I mean, wow. I didn't understand that. Because I didn't, but I knew that it was up to me as well to be see the like I could see the beauty in others. I see the beauty in Nikki. I see, that there's goodness somewhere, and there is darkness, I'm sure, and all that, but finding the balance, and now, and if we get to create a future, I feel like our people, awakened ones, it's a time to find those words, helping others like shine their light and find words of peace, because it's just been too rough on me to act and behave like the awakened brave. I can't do it any longer.
Right, acts like the awakened brave. Well,
And to be it's been difficult to find people and not think that they're like not worth talking to, maybe, or like engaging with something so mundane. I don't know, mundane is important as well. Chop wood, right? That one.
yeah.
But and to not be harsh on them, or then harsh on myself for thinking, oh my God, what an idiot they are. And then where am I in that scenario? So creating a new way for me is just imperative. I've just got to, I have grandkids here, 3 and a 7-year-old, and they're so bright, and they call me out on stuff so simply, really.
Yeah. Well, I do things in an opposite way. When I engage with people, I am super kind.
Yeah.
But when I walk away, I enter into a dialogue. Fucking idiots.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these people that live around me, I live in an old people block, and I'm all saying, I'm the hardest man in this block. They all know I'm Aaron the Hard. He's completely obnoxious, and I'm just taking the piss. Of course, I'm the hardest man in the block. I'm half their age, of being the hardest man in an old people's home. It's just preposterous. But I'm just messing around. I know lots of people, have an adherence to the British humour. I think my viewers are British, by the way. Last time I did a count, there's about 80% that's British, and so I'm engaging with people. And I try to get something out of them, and I'm asking very, very simple questions, and I just get a dead pause, or a shrug or grunt, and it's like they don't know how to answer that, and it's just like little things like one of the old folks that feeds the birds, and they put a water dish out, but they allow the water dish to get absolutely putridly green, and the birds ain't drinking this water, It's been there for 4 weeks. They're not drinking it. That's why it's not gone down. And they only go, I thought it's because it's raining. No, it's because it would kill them if they drank it.
Whoops.
Wash the freaking bowl out and put fresh water in. They're not stupid, They're not going to be drinking water filled with microbials and bacteria, and they walk away. It's like it hasn't registered, and the next day the water is still green, and it will stay green forever. It's kind of like whether they've got some deep resentment, him telling me what to do, or what is going on. It's a simple thing, and yet people can't do it. Now, just let me segue into something else that's really important. I was watching a video last night, and it was a podcast, and this guy, it was Danny Jones, by the way, for those of you that know his channel. Great channel, Danny Jones. And he had 2 people. One of them was an ex-astronaut. He was the 10th man on the moon, apparently, allegedly. And then there was someone who absolutely contested it and been contesting it for 40 years of his life, and had accumulated a massive amount of energy from scientists and astronauts and everybody. And this guy who was the astronaut, he was as thick as shit. And he sat there, and when the guy who was contesting that anyone had been on the moon, he was laying before them everything that's been fabricated, this astronaut was saying, what's the purpose of this conversation? I'm confused. And the guy who was contesting said, Why are you acting? This is why I'm here, because you're acting. You've been acting, since 1969 when you reckon you went on the moon. You've been acting 40 years and you're still perpetuating that acting now, like you don't know what's going on. You are in a podcast where Danny wrote to you and asked you, do you want to come on a podcast with another man who's going to contest anyone's ever walked on the moon? And you said yes. And when you get here, I don't know what's going on. What's the purpose of this conversation? And he kept saying it and saying it. And this astronaut is like 80 years old now, and he just looked absolutely ridiculous. But what I would say about that, he believed he went on the moon. You've gone, Mandy.
Oh, phone's ringing.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, whether he's convinced himself because he's told himself and other people for 50 years that he's been on the moon. If we keep reiterating something, we brainwash ourselves.
Right.
But you have no evidence to state about it. So the interviewer was saying, well, tell us how you felt when you first stepped one foot onto the moon. He's like, I can't remember, really. You can't remember stepping on the moon. Well, we were busy. We had lots of things. No. I'm thinking absolutely not. You're a barefaced liar. But then I'm thinking, well, there are so many stupid people around that if they did tread on the moon, they wouldn't cogitate that it was a big deal. They just couldn't get that level of emotion. They couldn't conjure up that wow factor because they're just so stupid. And I do believe that if anyone did go on the freaking moon, then it would be the most stupid of most automaton. These people need to be absolute automaton, following orders to the T, never thinking for themselves about a single thing. They've never thought for themselves all their lives. That's why they're there. That's why they're fighter jet pilots. That's why they're generals, this, that, and the other. They listen to orders and they obey them absolutely down to the line, and they will never improvise. So when you got someone like that who's saying he's been on the moon and he doesn't remember seeing the stars, and he doesn't remember what it felt like to walk on the moon or anything, well, I get into a bit of a paradoxical tizzy, because I think from my level of consciousness, it is completely absurd. I would be absorbing every single second of it, all the way there and all the way back. I would be having a visceral orgasm 1,000 times stronger than I've ever known on Earth through every second of the way. I'm going to the moon. I'm going to the moon. Fuck, I'm in a rocket. It's flying 10,000 miles an hour. I could die any fucking minute. What am I thinking? I'm going to be a fucking hero. I'm going to be one of the only human beings to land on the fucking moon. Oh, goody. Fuck me. People get excited about going on holiday. But this guy, he couldn't say a single thing about walking on the fucking moon. And so I'm like, there are people like that around that just do not exhibit any level of consciousness in that realm. What do you think about that? I mean, you must have met these dead fuckers.
Oh, sure. I think a lot in my life, I've interacted with people just to see, for one, where they're at, or if they're a friend or of a friend. And then it was entertaining. It could be very entertaining to, connect with someone and see where they're at and maybe hopefully lift them up a little. But I've learned that I'm not there. Like you said, I'm here, I'm doing me. That's where I'm concentrating. I still am entertained by people, and I don't want to have
You're entertained by their dullness.
Right, where their grumpy fit. Yeah, whatever it may be, their dullness is it. It's
look, if you showed them a vista of a pasture with 1,000 varieties of flowers, and they go, yeah, I've seen it in pasture before. No. Oh my God, you just dismiss that miracle like that? Are you fucking insane? I get annoyed. No, every blade of grass, every little plant and shrub is a freaking miracle, and you can just marvel over it forever. There's a whole pasture out there, and they just go, oh, it's a pasture.
I think that's why. Yeah, I think that's maybe why I've been in
quiet.
Pardon?
I say, Nikki, she's gone very quiet.
Oh. Well, I was just gonna say, I think the guy is full of crap that he even went to the moon. Then,
Yeah. Well, what
like
about?
if you have no experience to speak on and going to the moon, then you didn't go there.
Yeah, even look, but then, like I was just saying, to Mandy when you was off in Fairyland.
No, I'm listening.
I was just saying, look, even walking through a pasture should be a miracle experience. It is for me.
Yeah.
Every single second of every day, yeah, it's a miracle for me. And so, you know, I could speak so expansively. You know, okay, I get it. Yeah, I must be a genius, or I must have vast consciousness. But you know, I really wished I wasn't so different. You know, because I do wish that other people could have pleasure in this life like I do, that could look at the bark on a tree and just marvel at it and just study it and just feel it and want to hug it and kiss it, feel it and taste it and be a part of it. But no, that nobody does. And like, what's going on? What do you think is going on?
We do.
It's funny.
I
you said
do.
that. Oh, sorry.
No.
I was just gonna say, when you mentioned kissing the tree, you did a video, I don't know, maybe last week, where there was the big moss covered tree and you were out. I had a feeling you were gonna kiss it, and then you did. So yeah, it just made me laugh because I thought, like, very, very few people would do that.
Right.
Because it's so beautiful. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And you know, why is it that I am connected to that beauty where most people aren't then? Why would they be so inhibited? Why wouldn't they want to touch the most tender part, or one of them at least, onto something to feel that connection in a very loving in intimate way? You know, which is saying thank you for blessing this world with your beauty.
I think most people are just too busy to appreciate life.
The beauty. Well, that
it's the loops they've got going round and round and round and round. Because even if they do go out into these natural environments, they're not actually there. They're there physically, they're not there mentally.
Yeah.
That's my favorite place to go, is into the, park over in Chico, and it's been beautiful. I mean, ever since I was young, that I didn't go to the mall. I would go up to the mountain and hike and see the beauty. I felt my best, and yeah, it's amazing. And to touch the water, it's amazing that people don't respect water because of the magic that it really is.
Absolutely,
It holds.
Magic. Flowing water mostly is magical. So we've got 2 minutes left in this conversation. Do you guys want to finish up here, or do you want to go for another 40 minutes?
Yeah, I'm good. We can keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to talk more about what you as individual shards of consciousness experience from the world. What level of connection do you have? I want you to tell me so I can feel it, you know. I don't really want you just to go, well, yeah, I kind of like, it's nice when I go out. No, please stop it. I want you to get a little bit emotive. I want you to show me how it feels. Otherwise, I don't believe you, you know?
Okay.
You get I'm such an ogre. I know. Okay, look. If I want to use the bathroom, and then we'll be back, yeah?
See you in a few minutes.
Bye.
All right.